Oye, gente, bienvenido de nuevo a la segunda temporada de Dos Guiris sin guía. Soy Miguel, es Andrés.
Sigo siendo Andrés, es que soy culpable, no puedo cambiarlo.
Venga, como esperamos, no quiero que cambies, Andrés, no quiero que cambies.
Pues sigue siendo tan majo conmigo, por favor. Bueno, ¿puedes saber de qué vamos a hablar hoy?
Macho, es que no sé, es que no tengo ni idea.
Pues se me está ocurriendo una idea, ¿vale?
Venga,
Pues
dímelo.
estoy notando que hay un uso mega excesivo de este se, digamos. A lo mejor podríamos hablar un poquito, o se podría hablar de eso. Todos los usos de se, digo.
Venga, pues se me parece buena idea. Or I don't know if you can say me parece bueno, me parece buena idea.
Keep it.
Sí, me parece buena idea, fuck it. Alright, let's go. Pues se me parece buena idea.
Alright.
It has seemed a good idea to me. I think that sounds alright. Fuck it. Alright.
But let's tell the people what we're gonna do today.
Alright, Benga, you take it, Andres.
Alright, so something that I didn't really get a real dose of, or at least in any organized fashion, was all the different uses of se. And if you're in the middle of learning Spanish, if you're even at the beginning, mostly for those of you who have already been studying it a little bit, you'll notice while you're reading or even while you're listening that there is this like redundant and super repetitive use of se all over the place. They can attach it to the end of infinitives. They can attach it to the end of gerunds. They throw it in front of stuff all the time. And the thing is it changes the meaning of verbs. It changes tenses. It's a really powerful tool once you know how to wield the se. And there's 9 different uses, if I'm not mistaken, but we're not going to dive so deeply as to talk about all of them. Today, I want to elaborate on just 2 of those ses. And then, Mike, I think you wanted to do something similar?
I think I've got 2 written down. I might throw 1 or 2 more in there. I did want to briefly touch on the fact that when I was first learning Spanish, I knew a couple of those uses, but a couple of those uses I just didn't really know. So it would be very confusing when I saw a sign. For example, I remember when I first started learning Spanish when I was like 14 years old, I would see signs at banks and it would say, "Se habla español." And I would be so confused as to what that meant because I knew certain uses of se and other uses I didn't know. So also there are 2 different ways to write it. I'm going to say that first and foremost, with the accent and without the accent. But even between each of those distinctions, there are multiple different uses even there. So we're going to break it down, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you will have a much better idea when you see it around, and then also how to use it yourself. All right, let's get into it.
Once somebody really understands the majority of the se uses, then like the clouds of confusion really should dissipate. Because much like you, I remember sitting in the cafeteria in Madrid and it said "no se fuma," and I was like, dude, something can't smoke itself. Yeah, that's like informing the tobacco that it can't be smoked, you know? And I was like, I'm not sure who wrote that. I realize that it's official and everyone here is reading it like it's cool, but that's wrong.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time being up on my high horse thinking that that's either wrong or coming to reality and accepting that I was just confused. So hopefully we can alleviate a little bit of that confusion.
Absolutely. I'm going to let you take the first one, Andres.
Yeah, no problem. So the first one that we want to comment on is called the se reflexivo. Not to be confused with the se recíproco, which Mike's going to touch on in a second. But the way to think about this is the verb is being performed on itself, or the person who's doing the action is actually doing it to themselves, right? And I kind of have a itty bitty qualm with calling it a reflexive verb because I really don't feel like there are verbs. Maybe there's exceptions, but like almost no verb is reflexive. You can just use lots of verbs reflexively. For instance, lavarse or despertarse. Okay, so that would mean that lavar being to wash, lavarse, now using the reflexive se, the person is washing themselves. So it does contain a piece of information, but the verb is still just lavar, right? And despertar, you can wake up a child or you can wake up yourself. And so I'm not sure that despertarse is its own verb. Instead, it's just like using the pronominal se to give you a bit more information that you're not waking up something or someone. Instead, you're doing it to yourself.
That's very interesting.
That's the entire idea of the reflexive set. So to run you through like the quickest and the ones that you'll bump into the most is just like encontrarse. Like no me encuentro muy bien, and that's it. I don't find myself well, though it sounds strange. You understand it, right? Like I feel a bit strange or bad.
Let me give another really good example that I feel like it goes along with what you're saying, but also kind of not. Well, but it mostly does. So preguntar means to ask, but preguntar se is more like to wonder. I mean, if you say it, really what it means in Spanish is to ask yourself. You say like, right. Me pregunto. Te preguntas, do you wonder this? Me pregunto this, I wonder that. So it is correct in what you were saying. It doesn't change it, but it gives a slight change on it. It gives a slight change in the way that I would at least translate it. I wouldn't say, I ask myself this, I would say, I wonder. Even though I'm saying literally, me pregunto.
But I ask myself this actually doesn't mean something I don't think entirely different than to wonder. It's just a question of translation.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say, that it is that, but you can also kind of think about it with a different word, even though it really is just adding that extra emphasis that it is to yourself or, to the other person does it to themselves.
Okay. Yeah. Like, for instance, I would never say me encuentro bien being I find myself well. I'd be like, I feel good.
Yeah.
Right? Even though you should say technically probably I feel well. But irrespective of that, I would say I feel, even though we're using the verb to find. So those are just like quandaries of the most adequate translation.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something different. I kind of wanted to touch on that it doesn't really change the word that you're saying, but it can give it a slightly different flavor almost, you know what I mean? Just a slightly different connotation, even though the actual meaning of the verb does not change. So yeah.
Okay, so let's hit the people with two examples, that way they get a little dose. So we used earlier lavar, so now let's use it reflexively. So for instance, Juan se lava la cara, right? So Juan washes his face. And this, until you say that 100 times, 200, 500 times, and I don't mean just this one example, but using it in that way, I know what you're going through. You want to say, Juan lava su cara, right? I know that's how I felt. Like, if I said I cut my finger, I wouldn't say, me corté el dedo.
Yeah.
It would be the first go-to. It'd be, yo corté mi dedo.
Mm-hmm.
But keep sticking to it. If you do any action upon yourself, use the reflexive se, all right? And then steer away from qualifying like parts of the body by possessing them, right? Like, me hice daño a mi brazo. Don't worry about it. You said, me hice. I did it to myself. It's not going to be to myself, yet another arm got hurt. I hope, espero que me explico.
I like that. Do you want to just, I guess you really did explain it. I guess I just wanted to say out loud, again, I'll probably edit this part out, but I just really like how you hit on the fact that things that are talking about your body parts generally are used with the reflexive verbs, because you don't say, mi brazo, mi pierna, mi cara. Like you say, Andrés se afeita la cara. Andrés se ha dañado el brazo. El brazo, not like su brazo. Yeah. But you pretty much, you already said that. So again, I don't really know why I felt compelled to say that out loud, because I just like talking to you. I just like talking about the ideas. Damn it, whatever.
Really? I would say don't even edit all that stuff out. Even what I'm saying right now, the suggestion, so that way people hear, all right, so Mike used to be like a chronic editor. Just let it flow. Our combos are good.
Okay, so sweet. All right, so then I guess are you finished with the
let's alternate.
Okay. So I'm gonna go, like Andres was saying, sometimes this can get a little bit confusing in between the se reflexivo and the se reciproco. So I'm gonna do the se reciproco right now. So that is basically when you have an action that two people are doing to each other. So if you were talking about Andres and Miguel, you could be like, Andres and Miguel se charlan. That means they are speaking one to the other person and the other person back to the first person. So it is it's a mutual action that is going towards the other person. So it's almost like reflexive, but with another person involved.
Yeah, Mike, do me a favor. Look at me.
Yeah, what's up?
Miguel y Andrew se están mirando a los ojos.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Look
there
at
you
us.
go. Well, actually, hold on. I'll make it even better if I like look at the rather than at your actual eyes. I look at the camera. Yeah.
We can take it to the next level. Instead of just looking at each other in the eyes, se enamoran.
Oh my God! Wait, only now? Solo ahora? Like ya me pasó. Huh? Ya me ha pasado, macho,
Igual te estoy decepcionando. Te defraudo un poquito por no decirte antes que no estaba de todo enamorado.
Oh yeah.
No, lo siento, cariño.
Cariño, yeah, that was a good way to wake up. Be like, ¿qué tal, cariño? I was like, venga, no ha pasado tanto tiempo, Alright. So I just want to get, So I'm just going to say this, real quick. So the two examples that I give for this one would be se charlan, Andres and Miguel se charlan, uno al otro. So that's another way you could think about it. You could think about it in parentheses after any reciprocal verb. You could think uno al otro, one to another. So Miguel and Andres talk one to another, or Miguel and Andres se charlan.
To make it like just sound a little bit more native, I think because I would want to say this and then it wouldn't come to me so instinctively yet, but whenever you want to say each other, like two people are doing something or 20 people are doing something all together, and you're thinking in English still, doing your mental translations and saying each other, that's your like big cue that right now you want to be using that reciproco se.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's somewhat similar to the se reflexivo, but the reflexive se is only with one person, and the reciprocal se is with two or more people.
Mm-hmm. And this lends us to a difficulty in the language, as if Spanish weren't already glittered by these such things. But check this out. So if you have a shall we say, reflexive verb, though I don't like the term, like lavarse, or, we'll stick with that. So now we're going to say, ellos se lavan la cara. Okay? We don't know if they're all doing it to each other or to themselves.
Yeah.
But I say that only so that if you're following us and you understand what I just said, you got a good grasp of what's going on.
Hey y'all, so pretty early on in this episode we realized that we have too much good content to break it down into a 15-minute episode, so we decided that we are going to do 2 episodes this week, a part 1 and a part 2, about the different uses of se. So many different uses, so many different anecdotes and, you know, personal connections and stories. So anyway, y'all, if you enjoyed this part 1 that has been dropping right now, look for part 2 to be dropping next week.
You just smacked the shit out of the desk.
He goes, that has been dropping. He goes, that has been dropping. And then